Hello friends, and welcome to Trials of Imorah. If you're unfamiliar, Trials of Imorah is a 2D platforming game with a heavy focus on exploration. Each level holds many paths to choose, with even more secrets to uncover. Today I'd like to show you how the project has progressed over the past year, but before I do, I'd like to offer you the chance to try out a playtesting build of the game right now. There's a link to the game on itch.io below, and a code to join the game's official Discord server, if you have any questions or would be generous enough to offer feedback on the game. I'll be showing some content in this video that you may prefer to experience firsthand, but if you're cool with just watching me play through it, then that's cool too. So with all that being said, let's check out what's been added in the past year. Hello everyone, welcome to the main menu of Trials of Imorah, previously known as Project Imorah. So this is a pretty basic feature, very basic functionality with our save system. We're just going to go ahead and load up a new game and start from there. So one of the biggest things that was added this year was the actual start of the video game. The first level, where there's a whole tutorial sequence where it teaches you the controls and the basic ideas of the game. So the very start, we start here on this cliffside on the surface. This will be the very last time that we see sunlight before we delve into the depths of Imorah. So, the expected audience for this game should know how to move in a video game, but I'm going to be covering my bases and explain everything in a pretty, hopefully intuitive way, where if you don't figure out how to perform what I'm trying to teach you, you won't be able to get very far in the game. So, let's go ahead and proceed from here. There was a secret chest, but I'll keep that a secret. And this first area is supposed to be very grand, hopefully get people excited. We have some introductory cutscenes for the story, but like with all of my past videos, I'll be skipping through the story sequences. If you want, you can play the playtesting build of the game and read through it yourself. I like to think the story is decent, but it's not the focus of this video. So we're going to run past these NPCs. We learned how to talk to them, but we're not going to worry about talking to them. And thus, we are in the Inner Sanctuary, where the game kind of really begins. We're going to learn how to jump. We're not going to be able to get past this little pit without jumping, so let's go and do that. Uh-oh. And there's an even taller wall here, so we're going to have to learn how to double jump real quick. And melee attack. And ranged attack. You can see right here, this block is in our way. We can't jump through it. But if we shoot, we can cut this rope, and that'll clear our pathway. Uh-oh. Looks like there's an enemy. I wonder what we can do to defeat him. Wait a second. We can melee attack him, and we can shoot him with our ranged weapon. This guy should be very easy for everyone playing, but we're just getting people warmed up to the controls. We're not going to be throwing anything crazy at them for a long time. Left control to shield yourself. This is one of the, I think, most important mechanics that a lot of people that have playtested it so far have overlooked. So I really want to emphasize that using the shield is extremely strong. A lot of enemies' attacks, as you can imagine, are just blocked by using your shield. Of course, when you use your shield, you drain mana, and specifically when you're attacked, it drains even more mana. And you can't move when you're using the shield. Just need to keep all of those things in mind. What's this? This isn't a wooden crate. That looks like a treasure chest. We can break that also, just like wooden crates. We're too cool to open it by just opening it. We have to break it. We can use items on our hotbar using Q or middle click. We're at full health though, so we're not going to use this healing potion. Looks like there's another chest right here though, with even more potions. So if I want to sprint across this real quick, I was going to use some of my stamina, so I can use the stamina potion using Q to regen my stamina. We get a nice little particle effect from that. Uh-oh, there's more enemies here. That's okay, we know how to deal with them. These imps have pretty basic attack patterns. They'll hit us if we get distracted and stand in front of them, but otherwise they're pretty easy to deal with. Same with these little slimes that just completely ignore us and just walk back and forth. You can see enemies drop loot in this game. They can be used to barter for various weapons. For the most part, you can just sell them for gold, though. Mending slimes in particular are used for potions, and imp fangs are used for creating certain weapons that we will see later on. This is the inventory screen. Hopefully this is familiar, or at least intuitive to people. This is our hotbar on the bottom, and then we can store items that we don't want to actively use in there. We have stats on the left, but we don't really need to worry about that for now. So right here, we need to hit W and left click to uppercut. If we just uppercut, that's not going to be high enough. So what this section is really supposed to be teaching is how uppercut can be used as a triple jump, which will be very vital for traversing the world in this game. We're now approaching one of our final enemies of this section. We can just knock him off the edge and not deal with him. Just leave him down there. And this is a checkpoint. Use checkpoints for a variety of things. Use them to upgrade your stats by spending souls that we find in the world. We can use it to teleport around the underground world, and we can use it to save our progress. You don't have to save at these checkpoints. You can actually save whenever you want in the pause menu. But if you see one of these checkpoints, it might be a good hint that you should save. We don't have any souls at the moment. If we did, we could spend 4 of them and increase one of these stats in these categories, as you can see. We also cannot teleport because this is the first checkpoint that we have found. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to face the challenges in front of us. We won't be able to skip them just yet. Kill these guys. And move on. One more reminder to save, because we are entering the mini-boss of the tutorial level, the Imp King. This guy is relatively simple. He's just a beefier version of the other imps. He's really just making sure that you understand how combat works in this game. There's lots of different combat options. You can try to attack on the ground and use your shield. You can jump around like your Sonic the Hedgehog or Mario and just bounce on his head. You can use your arrows and fire them from a distance. You have lots of options, but just this harder enemy is making sure that you figure out something. You can't just spam your melee attacks because that requires... The damage is limited when you run out of stamina, and you can't really use your ranged weapons indefinitely because you run out of arrows, so ideally players will figure out a fun mixture of both. Normally you'd be able to use magic also, but we unfortunately don't have any spells yet. That will change soon. This is Castte. This is important for the story, but we're not going to worry about that right now. And that's the end of the tutorial. This here is the door to Imorah. This is where the game truly starts. So, hopefully with the tools taught to us, we'll be able to succeed and reach the end. When we enter here, you guys should hopefully remember this place from last year. You enter Ormahn Falls, the first full level area of the game. So I'm not going to run through the whole thing. The changes to this level over the past year have been pretty minor, mostly aesthetic. A couple rocks have been moved around. So in the next section, I'm going to show the next section of the game that was actually built. So see you in a second. So this next section is called the Undergrove. This is the area following Ormahn Falls and Ormahn Village, which if you haven't seen that yet, feel free to take a look at the video from last year, the 2019 progress video. This area introduces a couple new mechanics, notably lots of poison enemies, including this guy right here, the Crux Imps, who finally have full animation sets and unique sound effects for them. They're mostly like normal imps, but as you can see, something kind of funky happened to their heads. It looks like some of the crux crawler mushrooms latched onto them like some head crabs. So these guys, like I said, are mostly the same, but when they're about to attack you in their little wind-up position, you can actually knock them back and interrupt them. If you want to knock them back, you're going to have to hit them before they go through that, or hit them from behind like that. There's also these spike balls, which you don't want to touch. Pretty simple. And this area introduces a lot more usage of ropes, which, as you can see, is holding up this platform right here. There's lots of different ways to break it, but the easiest way that we have is just to shoot an arrow at it. That'll allow us to pass through and enter more of the area. The other big mechanic that we just got in the village by talking to a sorceress at the Guild of Synergy is this fire tome. This allows us to fire projectiles. We can launch fire projectiles, might be a better way of phrasing that. And we can burn down these bushes here that we couldn't get through normally with our normal attack methods. And this will be very handy for finding secrets in the world, especially if we backtrack to previous areas where there's you'll be able to find new treasure that's blocked off by this plant. This enemy is a Crux Caller, who's not new, but I like showing them anyways. They're pretty fun. Over here we have branching pathways, following the philosophy of the game of having many options, many big areas to explore. We got these pesky guys that are going to break our platforms behind us as we progress. So I'm not going to show this entire area, but I do want to show the ambush room that we have up here. As I've talked about before, ambush rooms will be combat sections in more or less every level, where you get to fight enemies in a room and get some treasure at the end. Very novel concept, I know. This will give us a quick showcase of all the different enemy types that we can find in the area. Admittedly, not as many new enemies as I would have liked were added this year. The big ones were the Crux Crawler, the boss that we're going to see later on, and a couple new ones that are going to be in the entirely new level. The wind level being Ento, and Ento Village. So we'll see them in a bit, though. So I'm using a lot of different combat techniques to kill these guys. As I've talked about a bit before, the best way to fight in this game is trying to use everything. It kind of, like, the mechanics allow you to specialize, but hopefully players will pick combinations. Because relying only on melee attacks, only your bow and arrow, or only spells is going to leave you limited when you run out of your resources for that combat mode. So now that we beat that, we can jump on this flower and pick up a rune. Runes in the game are your main upgrades. These runes can be activated in the rune menu, and they provide all sorts of different effects for your different abilities. This first one that we just got, there were plenty in previous areas, but I just didn't pick them up in this particular playthrough of the game. This first one gives us poison resistance and applies poison effects to enemies in the surrounding area. So this will definitely help us explore this poison area where everything is trying to poison us and kill us. So let's go ahead and jump down this waterfall. There's no fall damage, so we can just be ballsy like that. And we have a new checkpoint. Now there's plenty more to explore, but we're going to go ahead and proceed. Leave the rest of the area up for you guys to explore on your own. This leads us to Castte Scourge, where there's a lot more enemies to fight, and the boss. We have these pools of water here, which might be innocent looking, but they have a significant effect on combat. If you try to light enemies on fire when they're standing in water, that's not going to do very much. Uh-oh, out of mana. Oops. Alright. This is a new area that's been added since the previous video that I made, showcasing the boss fight. I'm not going to go through all of this, because that's a secret that I think would be better for you all to discover on your own. The regular bounce flowers are blue, these ones are red, so hopefully it should be intuitive why I'm not jumping on those. Hello, Thana. She has some important stuff to say, but we will worry about that another time. We have a boss to kill. Say hello to the Scourge Beetle. This is what many months of development were dedicated to last fall and winter. His attack pattern is relatively simple, but a lot of thought was put into it, like for the player to actually be able to dodge it while being complicated enough to look really intimidating and require a bit of practice to do well at. I'm fighting it pretty easily because I know the attack pattern, but as you can kind of see, there's very specific places where I'm standing, because I'm predicting which attack he's going to do. His AI is mostly random, with a couple limitations on it. Like, he's not going to do the same attack multiple times in a row, for the most part. It's a little challenging with the serpent roots on the ceiling, but if we can take a pause in the middle of the fight, then we can take care of those guys very easily using the fire spell. Ooh, that was close. You can also reflect his projectiles back at him. If we're creative enough, we can use that spike wall to damage him as well. Oh, like that. Alright, we should be just about defeated at this point. We're almost out of resources, so I definitely hope so. There we go. So, once the boss is defeated, we can collect our spoils, move on, and leave this ancient ruin. So, this final area is the end of the first level, I should say, where each level of the game is a collection of multiple sub-areas. The whole first level is the forest level, right? We had the waterfall section, the forest village, and then this poisonous ruin. Once we walk through the doors down there, we will be on the next level. So the next level of the game is the wind level, as you can hopefully tell by how my character is being pushed without my input. This is the underground canyon of Ento. So there's going to be lots of flying enemies, floating platforms, and wind currents to challenge us in our traversal of the area. This area is admittedly not very done. I'm still very much working on asset creation, but I'm just going to run through the area so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm going for so far. It's kind of like desert temple theme. We have pots to smash, which is way more fun than it should be. We have this big temple that we can't actually walk inside of yet. I'm working on it. That'll definitely be a goal for having completed by next year. We have a new checkpoint. And we have a wind current that we can't access because of that door. If we keep on going, you can see we have a split path here. We can keep going across, or we can jump down here and down here, here's one of the new enemies that are actually complete. The Wyvern Bat. Now these guys, I put a lot of work into their AI. Unfortunately they're squishy, so you're probably going to kill it before you really see everything that they do. They run away from you if you get too close, so they're a bit harder to deal with than serpent roots. They're a bit of annoying little cowards. They run away while they're attacking you. Even though they run away, though, they're not gonna run away forever. If you run away after they run away, then they'll chase back after you and then try to attack you again. There he is. But we can kill him pretty easily. Oh, once he stops running away. Get back here. There we go, he's on fire. Got him. So under here there is a mechanism puzzle to open this door, and that will give you access to this wind current. I'm not going to solve that right now though. The puzzle is set up, but it's probably better if you guys try to figure it out yourself. I'm just going to show the last little bits of this level that's done so far, which is the transition to the next area, which is the... wait for it. The Sea of Winds, where we're going to have a lot of fun wind-based platforming to deal with. And, well, that's all the new areas that I have to show for you guys. So for the last segment of this video, just gonna go over the goals for next year. So after looking back at the video from last year, I think I actually did pretty good about reaching the goals set for me. I remember one of the biggest ones was just finishing the forest boss, which I was very uncertain about completing just because I hadn't done any of the bosses yet and I wasn't sure how much work that would entail. Because they're basically just big enemies, right? But it requires a lot more thinking of both, like, all of the variety of the enemy's attacks, because they're not just gonna have one attack, they have to have many attacks, and also the arena where the player is fighting in. Had to put a lot of thought into that, but I did it, you know? I reached that goal. That was probably the biggest one that I was unsure about last year at the time. And I completed a lot more areas than I expected. I did not even imagine I was gonna even get started on the tutorial level. I was just thinking of finishing the Undergrove and Castte Scourge, which actually at the time was just gonna be one area, the Undergrove, but it ended up getting split into multiple areas to help performance of the game. Looking to the future, well, actually no, let me make sure, cover all the other goals. I added more enemies, not nearly as many as I wanted to add, but I added some, so I'm not too worried about that. And I added more runes to the game, which I didn't really showcase in this video, because they're not really found in the areas that I've implemented. But as I've talked about before, if you want to download the build of the game and try them out for yourself, you can enter the debug menu and just give yourself all of the items in the game. That's fine. Okay, so looking to the future, the goals, kind of same feeling. I'm not sure about reaching them, but I should be able to reach them, right? I want to be able to finish the whole rest of the wind level and the wind boss, because it'll be on a smaller scale than this first forest area. My plan for the game has kind of been adjusted after spending basically 2 years on the first level. Well, that's not entirely true. It was work on both the level and a ton of the underlying mechanics, the quest system, the cutscene system, talking to NPCs, all of just the items in the world, like treasure chests, things that drop items, things that light on fire, things that are electrocuted, programming water and lava, and other objects interacting in those substances, just a bunch of other stuff. So looking forward, the future levels should be easier to develop, in just that, like, it's mostly making assets for the terrain, right? The new mechanics aren't going to be as impactful as like all of the base stuff that I've already added to the game. Because in the wind level, the big new mechanic is wind, and wind has been programmed in the game since 2017. So, like, code-wise, the next level is looking very easy. It's just going to be a lot of artwork and designing for the enemies. Well, not the enemies are designed, but the boss. And the quest lines need to be written. That requires a lot of creativity. Okay, so kind of mushing all those ideas on track. The goals that I want to set for this next year development is to finish Ento Village and the temple associated with it, and the side quest associated with the village and the temple. Ideally, we'll have more than one. I might end up adding more than one. There's definitely going to be little extra lore treasures that you can find in the village, but for now, just the one quest line. I'd like to have more, but just the one quest line for now, because my vision for it's going to be pretty intensive. It's going to have multiple, well, not multiple. It'll have one fight sequence, or an ambush room sequence, I should specify, as well as just a dungeon design with enemy placement and a bunch of other stuff like that. And lots of NPCs to write dialogue for and draw sprites for. After that, I want to finish the Sea of Winds and the Wind Temple, which might end up being two different areas, just like the Undergrove and Castte Scourge. Then there will be the boss, and then that'll be it for that area. There's another area that's planned that's going to be connecting level 1, 2, and 3, and probably 4 altogether, which I kind of want to have a plan for at least connecting the first 2 levels. And then there's another area in the tutorial section that you can return to after getting some upgrades. I'd like to design that also, at least part of it, because at this point the player should be able to return to it once they have the fire spell, but they kind of just can't at the moment. I mean, like, they can go in there, but there's nothing to find, so I want to design at least part of it to help with the playtesting for the early parts of the game. And of course, in general, just add more enemies to the game, add more runes, add more items. There's so much content that's designed already, but it's just it takes work to add it. It just takes time to code it out and add the sprites and to draw the sprites and to set up the particle system. Not that I'm complaining, but just like if it wasn't just me working on it, then the game could be done much faster. Not that I'm complaining, not that I'm asking for help, because this game is kind of like my own personal vision. Yeah. So those are the goals for this year. Subject to change if I complete all of them, and I guess also subject to change if I don't complete all of them, but that'll be sad. I guess that's everything that I really have to say, unless another section shows up after this. If you watch through this whole video of my rambling and bad commentary, because I'm bad at talking to people, because I'm an introverted game developer, thank you so much for your support. If you could take the time to play test the game and give some feedback, that would mean the world to me. If not, just thanks for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it and that this game can bring some joy to people in some way, some form, can somehow have a positive impact on the world, no matter how little. So, yeah. That's it for now. I'm probably gonna be posting more updates. I hope to be. I try not to focus too much on uploading updates, because that takes away time from actually developing the game, but I'll try to make it clear that I'm not dead at any point. So with all that being said, I'll talk to you guys later. Hope you have a great 2020.